Hi, I'm Sam Maxwell.
And I'm Justin Mozer.
One of the things we wanted to explore throughout this documentary was how and why the music scene here in Madison has changed so dramatically over the course of the last 4 years.
When we first got on campus, the popular genres were hip-hop and alternative rock, but it's almost like electronic music has taken over our lives.
It's gotten so big to the point where we don't really know how big it can get and where it will end.
Electronic music has exploded on campus, becoming the it genre of the last 4 years. What did people used to listen to before they came to Madison?
When I first got out of campus, I was probably more into rock and alternative music.
Alternative rock and rap.
Classic rock, a little bit of hip-hop, and a little bit of electronic music.
I listened to classic rock up until I was like a junior in high school, and then I kind of switched over to rap.
I was like strictly a rap fan.
I was a hip-hop dancer when I was in high school, so that's something I definitely identified with. I love rap.
Predominantly rap. Maybe a few 90s tunes in there.
With the rise of technology in the late 1970s, electronic music came to the forefront of popular culture. What's interesting is that electronic music has always coincided with economic downturns.
My name is Alexander Shashko. I am a lecturer in the Afro-American Studies program. I teach a class on black music and American history. If you look at the Depression, you see a lot of dance music. You see a lot of kind of escapist dance music that is popular at the time. If you look at times of stress like World War II in particular, you see big band. It's very nostalgic, and it has a kind of, there's a very romantic element to it, but it's still dance music. And it's about sort of creating a community on the dance floor at a time when people feel alienated, isolated, afraid. Disco is the same way. Disco comes forward at a time of economic duress. You know, the most serious recession that the country had had since the Great Depression. And it creates an escapist fantasy. It creates a space for you to get away from that, to get away from the blues reality that you're dealing with for a little while, and to kind of create a community of shared joy or concern or anxiety or whatever it is, at least for that moment that you're on the dance floor. And so I don't think it's a coincidence that as we are in the midst of the greatest economic downturn since the Depression, including that moment in the 80s, that we have a rise of dance music.
In October of 2010, one show in particular sparked the interest of the Madison community and launched electronic music into the forefront of the music scene on campus.
Dead Mouse.
Dead Mouse.
Dead Mouse.
Dead Mouse?
Dead Mouse.
Dead Mouse.
That show was Dead Mouse.
And right when I got to college, the first concert I went to when I got here was Dead Mouse at the Alliant, and that's where it all blew up for me.
For the most part, it was the first big show that anyone really saw on campus.
The town was really ripe for someone like him to come in and like blow them away.
Dead Mouse was, in terms of going to concerts, definitely the pioneer.
It was the first time for every kid, whether you listen to the music or not, to experience it and see if you liked it for yourself.
I don't really think people understand the whole concept behind electronic music till you go to a concert.
There were electronic acts in Madison before Dead Mouse, but Dead Mouse was the one that brought out everybody.
In the semesters following Dead Mouse, electronic shows became a staple of Madison nightlife.
In the past couple of years, it's definitely blown up. You know, it's like a thing to do. Instead of going to a bar, go to a show.
It's just sort of the thing to do that night.
I definitely have friends who would never be seen at an electronic show unless it wasn't for everyone else who's going.
Most of your friends are going, girls.
While shows have proven to be a good alternative to the bar scene, there are some financial concerns associated with attending these events.
And it's getting harder and harder, especially here on a college student budget, to afford all these concerts.
I think people are willing to sacrifice other parts of their lives to pay up, pay the $50 or what it might take. I mean, I have a lot of friends that, you know, will eat ramen for a week if they have to, because they know one of their favorite artists is going to be in town.
It definitely inhibits a lot of people, but it also gives people something to work towards.
You can spend $50 very quickly in other ways, so I think it's well worth it.
In just a short time, Madison has developed a reputation as an electronic hub, garnering top talent from around the world.
Well, I mean, the bigger cities definitely have more than Madison, but in terms of, you know, a sort of smaller college town, Madison definitely has an incredibly high number of artists.
The artists themselves have just become an obsession.
Madison has just developed such a huge music scene in the past couple of years. It wasn't even existent in freshman year.
It's progressed beyond the music itself. It's really become a way of living.
I definitely have friends who now when we're at a pregame, if a non-electronic song comes on, they're like, what is this?
by being part of this bubble, you're kind of part of a little special community.
A lot of it is who's going.
The scene is what like makes it so much fun.
There's a core like group of people that really live for this dubstep or the other hardcore genres, but I think the others are just along for the ride, and whatever comes next, you know, they'll jump on that train too.
I don't know, I think the scene will be around for a long time.
While the media and public often group all electronic music together, new genres are constantly emerging.
There's a reason they call it dirty dubstep.
In particular, Madison has embraced dubstep.
I mean, dubstep's definitely blowing up in like mainstream media.
It's crossing over and getting a little into the mainstream that way. Especially in the past couple years, it seems to have really, you're hearing it in car ads and stuff like that. So, and that's usually a pretty good sign that it's crossed over into the mainstream.
You know, if you notice, there's a lot more dubstep shows than house shows up here. I mean, yeah, Avicii came up here, but then you have Roscoe, and I don't know if you've ever heard Roscoe, but he's the definition of womp.
The scene within Wisconsin is very big in dubstep.
I think that has to do with this city, which has somehow evolved into more of a dubstep city.
And it's got that like crackling bass where you can like really get into it and like really bang your head out there, really jump around.
And dubstep's kind of just like right away, like right in your face.
A dubstep show can get like pretty grungy and grimy depending on the venue or which particular artist is there. It attracts a different type of crowd.
And dubstep is like, it's definitely like a lot more like grimy almost.
So obviously there's a passion for dubstep. I don't know why.
Dubstep has its click, like it's super close click.
I'm not a huge fan of it, but it's definitely probably the most popular genre of electronic music on campus.
Part of the reason Madison has become so prominent in the electronic music scene is its variety of venues.
Alliance, the big, you know, Dane County run thing, that's a huge thing, and then Orpheum's real cool. That's from the old traveling vaudeville type of show days. That was the first big theater in Madison anyway. Segreto's been a huge club forever, and it's definitely not as big as Orpheum show-wise, but it sets up more like a dance club, whereas Orpheum sets up more like a concert. So I think Segreto's got a real good like dance clubby feel for how big it is. And then Majestic is like, that's where I do a bunch of those 80s versus 90s nights, and that's perfect for that type of thing.
The music is not without its critics. There are inherent downsides to this music culture.
A lot of it has to do with the drugs.
It doesn't define the genre by any means, but a lot of people take ecstasy for these shows.
It takes half a second to put a pill in your mouth or something up your nose.
A lot of drugs.
You know, it's become an association where people that have never gone to these shows think they have to take these drugs to enjoy themselves.
While electronic music has forged its way into the mainstream, music experts are weary of the cyclical nature of popular music, and many question the sustainability of this scene.
Historically, it's gone, and by historically I mean in the sort of post-rock and roll pop era, it has gone in 3 to 4 year cycles, where you have a 3 to 4 year cycle of popularity and then something eventually supplants it. I don't think we quite know if that's going to happen anymore in the digital age, because there's so much music out there and people can be so selective about what they hear that the very notion of a common musical culture itself has changed.
Yeah, this is something that my friends always talk about. Like, if this is what music is now, what's music going to be when we're adults?
I think it can last a very long time, but it's going to morph and transform like all types of music. Like maybe you'll see like more group style DJing, like Swedish House Mafia or something like that.
It's definitely a phase that people are going through, but I don't think it's going to disappear. It's just going to transform.
I think it's here to stay, at least for the coming future, because we're going through this very complicated process of globalization, and as long as that is the case, there will continue to be this network of dance music culture that will be out there that people will relate to and connect to.
After like 3 or 4 years of doing this, I can see myself getting a little exhausted.
Electronic music could be a fad that goes out of style in a couple of years. People get sick of it, people get worn out, or it's just something that you see only when you're in college.
From deadmau5 to the rise of dubstep, it is clear that electronic music has taken Madison by storm. But will history repeat itself, replacing electronic music with the new hit genre?